The 100-kilometer thick solid upper layer of the Earth, the lithosphere, is composed of several huge pieces called the tectonic plates. These plates are so gigantic that entire continents and oceans sit on them. The tectonic plates are not fixed. They keep moving at a speed at which our nails grow. Several times in past, the moving tectonic plates have come together and created supercontinents. Do you know when these supercontinents formed? What was their configuration? How was their climate? And what kind of life existed on them? Moreover, what would the next supercontinent look like? And when will it be assembled? Hi everyone, this is Akhilanand Singh. We are going to discuss plate tectonics and supercontinents today. This video consists of three sections. In the first section, we understand what the tectonic plates are, what constitutes them, and why they keep moving. In the second section, we will discuss four supercontinents that existed in the past. The third section will be devoted to the supercontinent of the future. So stay tuned to the end of this video. If you are already familiar with scientific terms like the earth layers, structure of lithosphere, plate boundaries, etc., you may jump directly to section 2. Section 1. Plate tectonics fundamentals. Let us understand what plate tectonics is. Plate tectonics is a scientific theory that suggests lithosphere of Earth is made of several large tectonic plates that move very slowly at the speed of 0 to 10 centimeters per year. Tectonic plates are so big that they are capable of holding continents and oceans. You can see a tectonic plate, the African plate, highlighted on your screen. When two moving tectonic plates collide, they bring in geographical changes on the surface of the Earth. Sometimes new continents are formed and existing ones are broken apart. Major tectonic plates are Pacific Plate, North American Plate, South American Plate, Eurasian Plate, Indo-Australian Plate, African Plate, and Antarctic Plate. Layers within the Earth: crust, mantle, and core. Crust is the outermost layer of the Earth. Mantle is the widest layer that lies below the crust and is about 2900 kilometers thick. It comprises of hot, dense solid rocks rich in iron and magnesium. Core is extremely hot and dense center of the Earth. The ball-shaped core lies beneath the cool, brittle crust and the mostly solid mantle. The outer core is made of mostly iron and nickel in the liquid state. The inner core is solid and is made of mostly iron. The intense pressure in the central region prevents the iron from melting. What constitutes the tectonic plates? Earth's lithosphere is the rigid outer shell of the planet. It includes the crust and the uppermost mantle layers. Its average thickness is about 100 kilometers. Tectonic plates are the large fragments of the lithosphere. What are the tectonic plate boundaries? Plate boundary is the location where two tectonic plates meet. Geological events such as earthquakes and creation of topographic features like mountains, volcanoes, mid-ocean ridges, and oceanic trenches occur at plate boundaries. Ring of Fire is the most active plate boundary surrounding the Pacific Ocean. The Himalayas sit at the plate boundary where the Indian plate collided with the Eurasian plate. Types of plate boundaries. A plate boundary can be of type convergent, divergent, or transform depending upon the relative motion of the plates. Convergent plate boundary. Two plates come towards each other in a convergent plate boundary. The Himalayan mountain range was formed on the convergent plate boundary of the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate when they collided about 45 million years ago. The process of subduction along the convergent plate boundary carries the edge of one plate down under the other plate and into the mantle. Divergent plate boundary. A divergent boundary occurs when two tectonic plates move away from each other. In a divergent plate boundary, magma rises from the Earth's mantle to the surface, solidifying to create new crust. Earthquakes are common along these boundaries. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge is an example of divergent plate boundary. Transform plate boundaries. Two plates sliding past each other create a transform plate boundary. Example of a transform boundary is the San Andreas Fault Zone, which extends underwater near the coast of California. Why do the tectonic plates move? Geologists believe that heat from radioactive processes within the innermost core of Earth creates convection currents in the upper mantle. These convection currents drive the motion of tectonic plates. Ridge push forces pull apart plates on the surface. Slab pull forces pull the plates down. Who proposed the theory of continental drift? In 1596, Abraham Ortelius had noted that the shapes of the continents on the opposite sides of the Atlantic, most notably Africa and South America, seemed to fit together. Similar plant and animal fossils are found around the shores of different continents, suggesting that they were once joined. In the early 20th century, German meteorologist Alfred Wegener published a paper explaining his theory that the continental land masses drift across the Earth. Scientists were initially hesitant in accepting this theory. They eventually accepted it in 1960s when several evidence emerged. Okay, we are done with the fundamentals. Let's talk about some of the supercontinent assemblies formed throughout Earth's history. Section 2. Earth's supercontinents in past. Walbara, the first supercontinent. Walbara is the name of the first supercontinent of Earth. It assembled 3.6 to 2.7 billion years ago in the Archean eon. It consisted of the Kapwal Craton and the Pilbara Craton. A craton is an old and stable part of a continental lithosphere. Kapwal Craton is now in eastern South Africa. Pilbara Craton is now in northwestern Australia. Walbara's atmosphere was rich in methane and ammonia. Percentage of oxygen was less than 1%. At that time, the length of the day was about 10 hours only. Walbara witnessed the emergence of life. Its rocks contained the earliest life form Luca, last universal common ancestor. The life forms included prokaryotic microbes from the biological domain archaea and bacteria. With time, the tectonic forces disintegrated the supercontinent Walbara and its cratons gradually drifted apart. The supercontinent Columbia. Scientists debate how many supercontinents have existed in Earth's history, but they are sure of at least three. The supercontinent of Columbia or Nuna was one of them. Columbia was an ancient supercontinent that existed between 1.9 and 1.4 billion years ago. It was proposed by John Rogers and M. Santosh in 2002. The evidence of Columbia's existence is provided by the geological and paleomagnetic data. Rogers and Santosh chose the name Columbia because critical evidence for the supercontinent was provided by the Columbia region of North America and East India. Columbia is estimated to have been approximately 13,000 kilometers long from north to south. The supercontinent existed in one of the most active tectonic periods in Earth's history. It grew in size and ocean sediments and volcanic activities added to its edges. The length of the day at its time was around 13 hours. There was an increase in oxygen in the atmosphere. While the earlier supercontinent Walbara witnessed the emergence of life, life continued and progressed as single cellular bacteria in Columbian Ocean. It might also have primitive eukaryotes including algae. The differentiation between the plant and animal cells was yet to happen. The supercontinent Rodinia. Rodinia is another early supercontinent whose existence is agreed upon by all scientists. Rodinia existed between 1.1 and 0.7 billion years ago during the Proterozoic eon. The word Rodinia comes from the Russian word Rodina, which means motherland or homeland. The major landmass of Rodinia was situated near the equator. A vast superocean Mirovia surrounded Rodinia. Compared to other supercontinents, scientists could not find enough minerals from Rodinia. Perhaps Rodinia minerals got submerged into the mantle layer due to the subduction action of tectonic plates. Life in Rodinia. Rodinia ocean had unicellular life in initial years. Multicellular life might have begun in ocean before Rodinia disintegrated. Plants and algae started diverting and the first sea animal, sea sponge, appeared during its final years. During the lifetime of Rodinia, the ozone layer did not exist. It was yet to be formed. Before Rodinia disintegrated, the global temperature fell continuously, which led to the Snowball Earth event. Snowball Earth had an important role in evolution. Later, melting ice from Snowball Earth presented many new opportunities for diversification and rapid evolution of life in Cambrian period. The supercontinent Pangaea. Pangaea was a massive supercontinent that existed between 335 and 175 million years ago. While the earlier supercontinents hosted primitive life, Pangaea was full of it. It saw life everywhere and in every form, in the seas, land and air, as a variety of plants, fish, land animals and birds, but no humans. The word Pangaea comes from the Greek word pan, which means all, and Gaia, which means the earth. Pangaea's existence was first proposed in 1912 by Alfred Wegener in his theory of continental drift. Pangaea was fully assembled by the early Permian period. It began to break apart about 200 million years ago during the early Jurassic period, eventually forming the modern continents and oceans. Pangaea was surrounded by a global ocean called Panthalassa. The single massive landmass of Pangaea had very different climatic cycles. During its formation, extensive mountain building events occurred where the tectonic plates collided. This created high mountain ranges, which strongly influenced the terrestrial climate. The climate of the interior of Pangaea was extremely seasonal. It was dry most of the time as it was locked behind mountain chains that blocked all moisture and rainfall. It had short wet periods that included catastrophic flash floods. Regular rains were limited to coastal regions and high altitudes. The first four-footed vertebrates called tetrapods colonized parts of Pangaea in the initial years. Later, the amphibian tetrapods developed into amniotes, fully adapted to terrestrial life, including reptiles, dinosaurs, birds, and mammals. Among the insects, beetles and dragonflies were first to appear on Pangaea. Dinosaurs were the most dominant animals. Since Pangaea was a single landmass, dinosaur fossils have been found in all modern continents. First birds evolved in Pangaea in Jurassic period. Mass extinction in Pangaea. Pangaea saw a mass extinction called the Permian-Triassic extinction approximately 252 million years ago. The huge single landmass of Pangaea caused extensive dry climate in the tropics during the Permian time. This led to Earth's most severe known extinction event. It killed about 90% of species. Less than 5% of sea animals survived. Less than one-third of the land animals survived. Nearly all the trees died. But death creates opportunity for survivors. Within a million years, synapsids diversified. Synapsid is a diverse group of tetrapod vertebrates. One lineage of it produced our ancestors, the first mammals. We are done with the first two sections of this video. We just saw that Pangaea was the last supercontinent on Earth. Are we going to have another supercontinent in future? Let's find out in the next section. Section 3. The next supercontinent. The history of Earth has been underscored by the episodic assembly and breakup of supercontinents every 400 to 600 million years. This cyclic reoccurrence of supercontinents is called a supercontinent cycle. The continental plates floating on the mantle try to establish an isostatic equilibrium with the mantle. Next possible supercontinent, Pangaea Proxima. Since the last supercontinent Pangaea existed some 200 million years ago, the next supercontinent as per the supercontinent cycle is expected to form in about 250 million years. In 1982, American geologist Christopher Scottis hypothesized the next supercontinent configuration. He named it Pangaea Ultima because it is expected to be similar to Pangaea. Later it was renamed as Pangaea Proxima. Experts believe that closure of Atlantic Ocean would result in formation of Pangaea Proxima. In Pangaea Proxima, the remnant of the Atlantic and Indian Oceans will join together to form a Mediterranean Sea that will be closed off from the world ocean by East Antarctica. The global temperature would come down and there would be an increase in atmospheric oxygen in Pangaea Proxima. Next possible supercontinent, Nova Pangaea. In the late 1990s, British geophysicist Roy Livermore postulated the Nova Pangaea supercontinent configuration. The single landmass of Nova Pangaea will stretch from pole to pole. In Nova Pangaea, the Pacific Ocean closes and the Atlantic Ocean stays open. We know that presently the continent of Africa is breaking into two. In Nova Pangaea, the East African Rift grows into a new ocean, replacing the Indian Ocean. East Africa gets stuck against India's west coast. Australia and Antarctica would be joining with East Asia and North America. Next possible supercontinent, Orica. In 2016, Joe Duarte and colleagues at University of Lisbon proposed the supercontinent of Orica. It may form in about 200 to 300 million years. It is named Orica because the landmasses of Australia and Americas would be sitting at the center. The closure of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans will drive the creation of the supercontinent Orica around the equator. In Orica, Australia will be landlocked between Antarctica, East Asia and North America. If Orica is formed, it would have a dry core zone, but the coastal area climate would be similar to today's Brazil with more liquid water. Next possible supercontinent, Amasia. In 1992, Paul Hoffman suggested that the next supercontinent would be Amasia. Amasia would bring Asia and North America together as the intervening Pacific Ocean completely subducted and the Arctic Ocean would also close. It would change the dominant orientation of tectonic spreading and the continents would drift northward, all arranged around the North Pole except Antarctica. Professor Zheng Jiang Li of Curtin University said that having the whole world dominated by a single continental mass would dramatically alter the ecosystem and environment of Earth. According to him, Amasia, if formed, would be much chillier, with the land concentrated around the North Pole and the oceans less likely to carry warm currents to cooler latitudes. Ice sheets would build up. But the latest research shows that Amasia would not be so cold. We discussed about 4 potential supercontinent configuration in future. Which of these is more likely? The latest computer simulations favor Amasia. Despite all the expert opinions, the next supercontinent may differ from all these predictions. That's all for this video. We could only scratch the surface of the fascinating subject of plate tectonics. You can find links in the description box for further information and research. Some links take you to excellent animated videos that show the formation of past and future supercontinents. Thank you.